Star Wars Squadrons is scheduled to release, guys, October 2nd here this year in 2020. And with that, a lot of people are pretty excited about this game, this flight simulated style game that is going to be coming out and really could be the first of its kind when we're talking about in the Star Wars realm. Whether we're talking from a graphical standpoint, whatever way you look at it, there's going to be a number of ways that we can connect once again with the Star Wars franchise within a different type of game in Star Wars Squadrons. This flight simulated game, guys, I'm really intrigued by because, number one, I'm terrible when it comes to flight simulated games, and this looks like one that kind of has a real, a system in place for those who aren't very good at flight simulated games to those who are very advanced and very good at it, and you kind of can, work at it as you go. What also is really awesome to me is that there's single player as well as multiplayer, which we'll get to here shortly. In this segment of the show, though, guys, I want to talk about everything that we want in Star Wars Squadrons. And when I say we, guys, I'm mainly going to be giving you guys my opinions here. Some of you may agree with my opinion. Some of you may disagree. Let me know in the comment section below, though, what you guys want to see in Star Wars Squadrons. So let's get into it. So with that, guys, Star Wars Squadrons, as I said, coming out later this year. This is basically a follow-up here in many terms to the last Star Wars game that came out, that being Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And I felt that, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order deserved to have multiplayer modes or things to do outside of the campaign, simply because the campaign was great, even though it was very buggy at times and things of that nature. Overall, it was a great experience. I think multiplayer would have been awesome. With Star Wars Squadrons, we're getting multiplayer, which is awesome. So the things that I really want to see, guys, is when we're talking from a single player perspective, I want to learn about each of the fighters, each of the characters within this story. So a single player story, most likely you're going to be mainly flying around. You're going to be, of course, mainly in the sky, right? However, I want to have moments in this game where we're actually not in the sky. We're able to kind of learn about the characters, having, places where we're able to explore, whether it's in the stations or wherever it might be, guys. I'd love to have, moments that we actually go from being in the cockpit to, outside of it, and that being you're able to explore and learn more about, the story that they're trying to build around Squadron. So that's number one. That kind of also relates to the multiplayer side of it. I'd love to have, obviously most of the modes sound like you're going to be in the sky. It's a flight simulated game, but it would be really interesting to have where there's segments or battles that are, in the sky, and then you're fighting over, say, a jungle or something, and then you land, and then, the second segment of the fight is actually on ground, whereas you're fighting with, weapons and things of that nature. That would be a really interesting concept. I don't know if they're going to go that direction, but that's something I would love to see in the multiplayer side. From the single player side, like I said, guys, having obviously most of the game is going to be full, you're going to be in the air, behind the cockpit, and enjoying the story from that perspective. But it'd be nice to also have it where there's a little bit of some variety there. Number two for me, guys, is going to be I think one of the most important things when we're talking about single player, we're talking about multiplayer, I think it's really also important to have co-op modes that you can play with your friends, whether you want to play, some co-op missions or play the story from a co-op perspective. I think also obviously being able to play with your friends in multiplayer is really important as well. But having more ways to connect with the story, connect with the game itself, whether it's by yourself, whether it's with your friends, or just playing with other people around the world. I think it's really important that you're able to do that within this game from even a story perspective. Because from what it sounds like, there's a single player story, right? But I would love to see also the ability to do a co-op story as well. I think that would be really awesome. The next thing for me, guys, and this is coming from a person who's just not very good at flight simulated games, I really hope that the system that they have in place, for beginners, people who are just not good at flight simulated games, they're able to kind of, they don't try to rush you through the ranks, so to speak. And I hope that the, skill-based, matchmaking is something that I think is going to be really important for a game like this, where, when I start playing the multiplayer, I'm playing against people who are of my same skill, not against people who are way better than I am at flight simulated games and such. I hope that's something that they really, keep in mind, and I'm sure they are. But I just really, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that they, keep these things, sort of grounded for those that aren't very good at flight simulated games. I think it's really important at the end of the day. Also, one thing I would love, guys, is to see how this story, from the story perspective of Star Wars Squadrons, how it ties into the overarching story of Star Wars as a whole. Where does this fit in canon? Where are there going to be segments where we kind of reminds us of things from the movies or from the books, whatever it might be? I think that would be really interesting to see where this story kind of fits into the grand landscape of Star Wars as a whole. And so I hope they're able I hope they do that here within the story. I think that would be great. The next thing, guys, for me is from a multiplayer perspective, is having, the ability for a number of different customization items, being able to customize your TIE fighter, or you're able to, customize within the interior, the exterior, which it seems like you're able to do, but also just being able to customize in a major way, but having earnable items within the multiplayer, I think is going to be really important, where you're able to earn different items, and then you can kind of show those things off to your friends or to other people that are playing multiplayer, and then having different ranks as like a ranking system, as well as different emblems and titles. When you're in the in-game lobbies, other people have those as well, and you get to see what other people have. And if everything is more so earnable than things that you can just pay for, more and more people are going to put really grind a lot more into the game to try to get those earnable items. And that's what I've noticed from games like Call of Duty and such. When you do have earnable items, people try to grind for those things a lot more. And so I hope they do that here with Star Wars Squadrons, having a lot of customization. I'm also hoping that the different types of fighters and such, you're able to have all kinds of different fighters. The more, the better, in my opinion, that you're able to customize or being able to just fly around. The other thing is that when it comes to the multiplayer, guys, I'm hoping that they add more modes down the road. It sounds like there's only going to be a few different types of multiplayer modes. And so I'm really hoping, though, that they kind of add on to that. And like I was saying, where, maybe part of the fight is in the sky and then part of it's on the ground. I think things like that could add a lot of variety. It would get a lot of people out there to try out a game like this, because I think there's going to be a lot of people who play the game, obviously, but I just don't know, as far as concurrent, players or people who always are coming back to play the game. I just am wondering what that's going to look like, because even though it's Star Wars and it's going to sell a lot, the question lies in, are people going to be coming back in a major way to do a flight simulated game? And we know flight simulated games do well for at least that community. There's a number of big communities within the flight simulated realm, but I just don't know, the Star Wars fans at large, are they going to continuously come back to playing Star Wars Squadrons? That remains to be seen, but I think if you cater to not only the flight simulated people, but also those who are into shooters or into whatever, some of these other game modes, might be something to really think about if you are, Motive Studios. But with that, guys, those are the things that I want to see based out of Star Wars Squadrons, what we've seen, what we know kind of so far, and what I'm hoping we see in the future. Let me know what you guys want to see in Star Wars Squadrons in the comment section down below. And for more Star Wars Squadrons content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.